The CC changes in season 7.5 of Marvel Rivals. Oh boy, oh boy. So, I think NetEase kind of fumbled it. I do think they kind of fumbled it, and the reason why is I am an advocate that on a fundamental level, this game does need some form of CC like immunity that they're trying to implement. I do think fundamentally it needs it. Going forward, the amount of CC in the game is going to exponentially increase, and it's not an enjoyable experience for literally anyone when you are not able to use any of the buttons on your hero for like 5 seconds or more. It is something that most games that have this kind of level of CC, they always end up implementing one of these because it'll allow at some point for certain team compositions to have CC chains that are so long that it's borderline unfair. And the problem here is that it's not CC that's the problem. And this is the important thing. I don't want anyone like watching these videos to think, oh, so you don't like CC. You don't think CC in the game. CC has skill expression, especially when you combo it. I agree. There is, like, for example, the CC changes they implemented does not affect, like, a Luna Freeze into an Emma Grab, for example. That's a nice skill-expressive combo you could use. This is not what I'm talking about. Little combos like this and CC in general is not what I'm referring to. What I'm referring to is the prolonged chains that last longer than they really should. Like, if you're a tank main and you're sitting there for, let's say, 6 or 7, seconds where you can't do anything, that is not an experience I think anyone should have to deal with in this game. Now on to NetEase's approach, okay? I think this is where they fumbled it. I don't think they implemented this properly. I've seen a lot of people, especially clips of like Hulk's juggle being removed. Things ult not triggering. I think this is in part where they messed up. Because the most important thing is that there's so many different kinds of CC. Like, what is CC by their definition? It seems like they just put everything and anything that does anything goes under that bracket. And I think this is the problem, is they umbrellaed and just put it all under one bracket of CC. So there's all these different effects that happen in the battle, like an invis push plus the invis shift. So that's already 2, and it pulls you in, and then you can just keep stacking them up and then gain your immunity. It can stack up really fast on effects that really shouldn't. So then when an actual CC comes in, like the Thingle, it got triggered by all these little micro things that really shouldn't be triggering it. So on the topic of ultimates, like the Hulk and the Thingle, as well as many different ults in the game, I think ultimates in general, at least for now, it's a very complex topic, but I do think, at least for the time being, ultimates should not have to deal with the CC immunity. It's an ultimate, and in a game like this, you just can't do that. You just can't have ultimates applying CC towards their tenacity so they get CC immunity. You just can't do that in a game like Marvel Rivals, at least for the foreseeable future. I know a lot of people are happy. Some people are happy about, like, the Hulk juggle, for example, because a lot of people see it as something that shouldn't be in the game. And that's an entirely separate discussion on whether the Hulk juggle should be in the game or not. But in general, ults, I think, should not be a part of this CC chain. And as well as they should have made separate brackets of CC immunity for different types of effects. This is what they should have done. A game that I used to know called World of Warcraft, I used to play a lot. They knew when they made their system not to put every single CC under the same umbrella. Because, for example, if you would stun someone, stun would be a different level of CC, would be a different type of CC than incapacitate, for example. Because a stun is a different kind. They can't do anything, and you can damage them. But, for example, if you were to blind them or to sleep them, like, let's say a Mantis Sleep. A Mantis Sleep is different than an Emma Grab. Because an Emma Grab, you can damage them while they're in the CC. It's a stun. Versus, like, a Luna Freeze or a Mantis Sleep. That's more like an incapacitate. Because if they get damaged, they get taken out of it. And although they don't have to follow the definitions that I'm giving here, they don't have to follow this. I think NetEase fumbled it really badly by not actually giving different brackets of CC. I think a good example is any kind of grounding should have been its own bracket of CC. Any kind of grounding, because you have a lot of grounding in the game. You have the Bucky E, which grounds flyers. You have the Thor shield. You have Black Cat's grounding effect that she has with her item, and she has too. There's lots of grounding effects in the game. And there's going to be more over time. I really think they should have had their own CC, like their own CC bracket for grounding effects entirely. This is something NetEase really should have thought about, because I'm an advocate that on a fundamental level, we need this in the game. It's a necessary evil, I guess you could call it, in the game. Some people that play heroes that have lots of CC maybe don't like it, but I do think a lot of the frustrations that people have with it right now can be solved pretty much entirely by having some form of differentiation between the different types of CC. Because it is not acceptable, in my opinion, it is not acceptable to put all types of CC in the exact same bracket, because that's the entire reason we're seeing problems that we have now. It's the entire reason that why the Thing will go and he'll use his Earthbound, and the Earthbound will tick a bunch, and then his ult won't work. It's entirely because of them not separating the different kinds of CC, which you should do, because the different kinds of CC do have different kinds of strength. Like, for example, you can't compare the strength of an Emma grab with the little knockback on the last hit of the Iron Fist combo. His last hit of the combo, when he hits you, you get knocked back a little bit. That counts towards the CC effect, the CC immunity. Just the same as an Emma grab does. And they're not even on the same level. The lethality of each of those CCs, they're not even comparable. They have to be in separate brackets. I think an Invis pull could be in the same bracket as her orb, as an Iron Fist knockback, as the Daredevil pull with his grapple. All these different things can be in the exact same bracket. And there's a lot of them in the game. They have enough kinds of CC in the game that they could have made different types of brackets of CC immunity for each different type of CC. And then they can adjust the knob accordingly for each kind of CC, how many effects to trigger it. I think, for example, with incapacitates, it's pretty simple. You can make it to where after each incapacitate, the next one lasts shorter. Because it's not that lethal, but it's a long period of time that you could be chained out of the game. Like, for example, a Mantis Sleep into a Luna Freeze, that's a long period of time. They could have, and there's not that many effects like that in the game, so they could shorten how many it needs to be, and they could adjust this for each CC bracket. What concerns me the most is how NetEase let it go through like this. I really don't understand how they did that. Surely you'd think a change like as kind of fundamental or as big as this. It's pretty fundamental. It changes the way the game works. Like on its bare bones level, it changes how the game works. You'd think they would have tested this more. But then you see like a basic, the Thing goes up to the group, applies Earthbound. After a couple of seconds, he uses his ult and his ult doesn't work. You'd think they would have tested something like as fundamental as that. Which, if I'm being honest, that is my biggest like complaint about this system, is them not thoroughly testing it. Because there's a way they could have implemented this that is perfect and healthy for the game. Because I do think the game needs it, but they went about this in like the worst way possible. Like if someone were to have told me that they would have implemented a CC system, this would have been like the worst possible way I would have imagined them doing it. No immunity for ults. So ults can still be nullified by a random like Invis pull, an Invis orb, an Iron Fist kick, giving them CC immunity. Putting every single CC effect, like every single CC effect, under the same bracket, kind of ridiculous. I question NetEase's testing before releasing patches if that's what they're gonna do. So hopefully, I'm like really hoping they come out with some kind of change ASAP, like as fast as possible. Like a band-aid as fast as possible. Like saying, okay, for now, we're going to raise how many CC effects it takes to get immunity, and then also make ults immune from applying towards it. Just for now, okay? That way it's not triggered as often, and ults don't get ruined by it. And I think that's really important as a band-aid because Season 7 is launching right now. Like, Season 7 is launching right now. I cannot release like this. They have to, like, implement a little hotfix. It's pretty simple, in my opinion. They can do that really fast. Just increase how long it takes to apply the CC immunity and make ult immune. Bam, band-aid fix as they think of a more long-term solution. That's what NetEase should do. I know some people are also upset about, like, rogue combos and stuff being destroyed. But again, with the suggestion I gave, that would fix it because rogue combos, it's all different kinds of CC. Her stun, for example, when she grabs you and knocks you on the ground, that should be a different kind of CC than her shift when it's the little orb around her, the little circle, and it pulls you in. Those are different kinds of CC. They should not count towards the same CC immunity. I think if they implemented this kind of approach, it would fix all the problems people have with this system now. That way we can get a healthy crowd control reduction system going forward long term that everyone's content with, that just makes the game better. I know some people might not realize this, but there is an absurd amount of CC in the game. Almost every hero has some kind of CC, whether it's a grounding, a knockback, a stun, an incapacitate, literally everything. The amount of CC in this game, it is a lot. And so if you're playing one of the roles that is, like, prone to being CC all the time, it's just not a fun experience. Like, you have the Hela Orb, and that's just Hela. Then you have Phoenix that has one, Elsa has one, Luna has one, Mantis has one, even Magneto's right click, Iron Fist kick. The amount of heroes that have one, almost every hero on the roster has one. Even Wanda has one. Even Squirrel Girl has one. It's a lot of CC in the game. And as they keep expanding the roster, there's just going to be more and more and more and more and more. And it's eventually going to get to the point to where every single game you're in, there will be at least a couple of heroes on the enemy team that have some form of CC. And if you're playing, let's say you're playing Magneto, and you're on the front line, and you get Phoenix stunned into a Bucky hook, into blah, 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 and it just goes on and on and on all game long, eventually it's going to get to the point where you're like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And it's necessary, a necessary evil for the long-term health of this game. I just think NetEase did not implement it properly. That's all for today's video, guys. If you enjoy, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, turn on the bell for notifications so you can see when these videos are. And as always, guys,